Transitioning to another interesting topic, Dennis Schroeder. Oh, how the tables have turned with Dennis Schroeder. It's amazing how it amuses me how quickly narratives can change and how quickly circumstances can shift in 1 year, in one off season. Because in pro sports, it's all about capitalizing on those rare, few and far between, those rare moments to capitalize on financial opportunities. That's what pro sports are about. You work tirelessly for years and years on end to position yourself for at least one lucrative contract throughout the course of your career. If you're lucky, you get more than one big bite at the apple. If you're lucky. And Dennis Schroeder was just finishing up a 4-year, $62 million deal that originated with the Atlanta Hawks. And he's traded to the Lakers. A plum situation, about as perfect of a situation as you can enter. They need a point guard. You're coming there to provide that role. You're joining LeBron James. You're joining Anthony Davis. You're joining the defending NBA champions. You've got an opportunity to perform on the grandest stage, a silver platter to perform well and to earn yourself some serious money. And throughout the regular season, he performed fairly well, played pretty well, about 15 points per game, but again, was playing within himself, within the offensive system, and the Lakers tried to reward him. They made 2 offers to him. 2 offers. Both were pay raises and upgrades to the deals that he had previously signed. And the second of which was worth 4 years, $84 million. They were set to pay Dennis Schroeder $21 million per year over the course of the next 4 years. He politely rejected them, took a chance on himself, bet on himself, and was hoping for a larger payday in the offseason. And you fast forward a couple months to the Lakers postseason, and he averaged 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on 40% shooting from the floor, 31% shooting from the 3-point line in 32 minutes. And mind you, nearly half of these games were played without Anthony Davis, or a compromised version of Anthony Davis. So the opportunity was there for Dennis Schroeder. And to his credit, the first 2 and only 2 wins of the series, he played pretty well. 20 points, 24 points. And I do consider the fact that he was recovering from COVID, but he still performed well in the other 2 games. But then games 4 and 5, you drop 8 points and a 0 burger, a goose egg on the road en route to a 30-point loss to the Phoenix Suns. That's what happened in game 5. And what once was a vibrant and rich market for Dennis Schroeder now turned into a barren and dried up market. He turned from a grape into a raisin in a matter of months. And now he's forced to sign a 1-year mid-level exception deal with the Boston Celtics worth $5.9 million. He had this offer. The Boston Celtics basically got Dennis Schroeder for a reduced salary of 3 years and $78 million reduction for Dennis Schroeder for what the Lakers had offered him. And so I don't want people, and so obviously he made a huge mistake, of course. And I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm about to say, because I'm not suggesting that athletes or people in general shouldn't bet on themselves. So shouldn't take chances and bet on themselves, because that would be foolish and hypocritical of myself. I've bet on myself. I believe in my skill set, and athletes have to have a certain level of self-confidence, of an inflated self-confidence, to be able to make it to the professional level. They had to bet on themselves. They had to overcome obstacles. They had to overcome people telling them they couldn't reach this point. So it would be foolish and hypocritical of me to suggest to Dennis Schroeder or to any other athlete coming up, hey, don't bet on yourselves. you can't make it, the odds are too stacked against you. No. But at the same time, sometimes athletes have to have some slight awareness and understanding of what their value is. One of my favorite shows that I'm sure all of you guys have seen before, Deal or No Deal, hosted by Howie Mandel. Every single episode, there comes a moment where a contestant is presented with a situation where they've got this opportunity to either take the money that's in front of them or choose to open up one more briefcase. There comes that point for every contestant. And it's tempting to open up that extra briefcase, to just open up one more briefcase to see, even when the odds are stacked against you. And sometimes even Howie Mandel kind of tries to nudge the contestants in the right direction. But sometimes you as the athlete, you as the contestant have to have the self-awareness to understand what you're worth. And I know there's no question that that's what an agent is there for, is to vouch on your behalf, is to try and make you the most money. That's why you hire an agent, so that you don't have to kind of profusely praise yourself. You can have someone else do it. You can have someone else offer this effusive praise of their client to the president or to the GM or to the CEO of the team. But again, they try to get you the best deal, but they also try and get you a realistic deal. And when you look at the NBA landscape, there are only 48 guys. Now, it seems like a lot, and it is a lot, and maybe not all of these guys are worth this much money, but there are 48 guys right now in the NBA that are currently either in the middle of a contract or will begin a contract worth over $100 million in guaranteed salaries. And so if you are going to be one of these guys who gets paid over $100 million, which is who Dennis Schroeder is and what he wants to be, who he wants to be, you've got to be at least a top 10 player at your position. You have to be a top 10 player at your position. And right now, if you look at the point guards alone that are making over $100 million, here's the list. Steph Curry, Dame Lillard, CP3, Luka Doncic. If you don't want to include James Harden, fine. If you want to include him, he's part of that. De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook, Trae Young, Drew Holiday, Kyle Lowry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, D'Angelo Russell, Kemba Walker, and John Wall. Now, I will concede the only exceptions to these contracts are John Wall and Kemba Walker, but it's not because of their lack of talent. It's because of their injury history. Because at the time, 3 years ago, before John Wall tore his ACL and ruptured his Achilles, he was worth over $100 million. Kemba Walker, same thing. Before he had the chronic knee injuries, his talent alone justified that kind of money. But you're looking at Dennis Schroeder. Do you say to yourself, okay, is he better than any of those guys? The answer is no. Then you go to the second tier guys. Is he better than a Mike Conley? I don't think so. Is he better than Malcolm Brogdon? Or what about John Morant, who's still on his rookie contract? So I don't think he's better than those two guys. And then there are a couple fringe players that I'm not sure Dennis Schroeder is better. Colin Sexton of the Cavs. I think Schroeder's better, but Sexton still averaged 24 points per game last year. And as crazy as it sounds, even a 32-year-old Derrick Rose had a better season than Dennis Schroeder last year. Is he completely better? I don't know if I can definitively say that, but based on his performance last year and in the postseason, Derrick Rose would have been a huge upgrade for the Lakers over Dennis Schroeder. So the point is this: I hope for his sake, for Dennis Schroeder's sake, that this deal with Boston can be a launch pad to signing a more lucrative long-term contract, because I like Dennis Schroeder. I genuinely think he's a good NBA player. Not great. He's a really good NBA player, and he deserves to make some money. And the fact of the matter is, I like his competitive spirit. There's a reason why he's called a menace. I actually like and respect Dennis Schroeder, his hustle on both sides of the floor. But at the same time, let this be perhaps a cautionary tale for some other players about misplaying your hands and not accurately reading your own fortune cards, because this should be a warning to certain players to just be wary and understand that these big time contracts, these big time offers don't come around all the time. These are very transient, ephemeral opportunities to cash in big on your career. And I'm not saying to not bet on yourself. You should bet on yourself. But you should also have the understanding and the awareness, and maybe that's a conversation that he needed to have with his agent about, hey, listen, this is the right deal. This makes sense. This makes sense for me. Not to mention, it's not like the Lakers disrespected him or lowballed him. I thought that was a very fair offer that they made. So hopefully other players coming up in the future look at this as a cautionary tale and perhaps heed this warning. It's not to say that it never pans out. Obviously, Dak Prescott with the Cowboys broke his ankle, still managed to make generational wealth, sign that long-term contract, but it's a shame for Dennis Schroeder that it came down to this, that now he once again has to prove himself to make another long-term deal with the Celtics. But that's sometimes what happens when you think you're worth more than what your play and your productivity shows out on the court.